Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and the Giants. I am Enzo, this is my forever co-host John. Today we wrap up our biopic week with Selma. Not about a folk singer this time, but about one of the most important people of the last century, Martin Luther King Jr. And yeah, I think out of a lot of our videos from last year and this year, this might be one of the heaviest movies we did, like subject matter wise, but like yeah.
It is, and I'm kind of like already looking at the eggshells I'm about to walk on. And I'm like, oh crap, how do I go at this?
Yeah, right? But yeah, I would say, like, not to give away my story right away, but it's a very well directed movie, directed by Ava DuVernay, who I believe was at one point tapped to direct a DC movie. Forgot what it was. I think it was Nightwing, but it fell apart. But from here, I'm like, wow, the potential for a director like this to direct a Nightwing movie, what a missed opportunity. But
Yeah,
in terms of biopics, I think this is one of the best biopics of this century, of the 21st century. And are you okay? You're dying from allergies.
yeah. Morning allergies always kicks my ass.
Oh, same. But yeah, this is a very star-studded cast, like starring David Oyelowo as Martin Luther King Jr. It also has Oprah Winfrey, Cuba Gooding Jr., Tim Roth, Tessa Thompson, the late Tom Wilkinson, and like a whole host of Billy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah. He has like maybe 3 minutes of screen time.
I was like, where did I see you last? Oh fuck, it's Craven the Hunter. I'm so sorry, man. Anyway, but yeah, this is essentially about Martin Luther King's fight for the right to vote for African Americans, and you're like, he does a speech like later on to the movie where like he fought so hard after being free to set where we like, and then to have equal opportunities, to have equal rights, and now we have the right to vote. And you're like, as a casual viewer, you're like, those must be like, I don't know, 10 years apart. But you see the timeline, you're like, wow, that's a huge gap between when you were free and you got all these rights. Crazy how history and what systemic racism does to people.
And they still don't have all the rights, by the way.
No, they don't. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is a very timely movie to watch, especially nowadays. You're like, damn.
I agree.
Like, I will just go right off the bat and say I think this is one of the best performances I've seen. It's a shame I haven't seen David Oyelowo anywhere else, because I think he's spectacular as Martin Luther King Jr. Like, maybe I can find a clip of him and a clip of the Reverend to see how well he portrays him, and then you see him in interviews. I'm like, wow, you're British, Jesus.
I got shocked with a bunch of actors here as well, where I'm like, aren't you British?
Yeah.
Like Mr. Tim Roth, woo.
Yeah.
He did that southern accent like to a T. I was damn, man.
Yeah, most people I've seen a podcast say that like he's a version of a certain president now before the certain president now was ever popular. I'm like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the character here?
Yeah, it's Governor Wallace. Like,
Yeah.
he was that guy before that guy ever became a president. But yeah.
Yeah. I even disagree with like, God, you know how like people just try to tolerate a certain race, and they're just like, they're going off about like, oh, I think they're not grateful. You know, they're not grateful. We already gave them the front seat of the bus.
Yeah.
They're already studying in our schools. I'm like,
The
this
bare
fucker's not
minimum.
getting it.
Yeah, right.
This idiot's not getting it.
Yeah. You see,
It's not that we want certain things. It's that we want equal opportunities.
yeah, we want the same things you guys have, and like, if you won't give it to us, we'll fight for it.
Exactly. And yeah, there's a lot of like anger, and there's like a lot of moments where you're just like, damn, I think I would have Magneto'd it as well.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And we also kind of have, and not only, we do have those kind of figures as well here in the Philippines, where characters like Martin Luther King, we have Jose Rizal.
Yeah.
We had, they had Malcolm X, we had Keza.
Yeah.
Who kind of were a little bit more direct when it
Oh.
came to their protest and their fight for the country.
Yeah. Like you say, from how they fought for the right to vote, like they go through the same through a lot of things we see on the news today. Like like when the night protest happens and
Yeah.
Governor Walz is like, this is the perfect opportunity to squash them once and for all, and it goes from tear gas and batons to bullets, and it kills Lakeith Stanfield's character, Jimmy Lee Jackson.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, that is rough. And his dad is like almost 80, and like he has
Yeah.
to witness all this shit. I'm like, and he also
I
went
think it
through,
was his grandfather.
yeah, his grandfather, and
Yeah.
then like he also already went through a lot of shit in his lifetime just to see his grandson died. His grandson who served as a soldier in Vietnam and then is not even treated as a hero back home. You're like, Jesus Christ, that's insane. Yeah.
Caesar. Yeah, it is extremely heavy.
Yeah.
Especially the diner scene where if they get into the restaurant and you're just like, I really hope they don't notice.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, I really hope they don't notice. But at the end of the day, it's just horrible.
Yeah. You also see the unfair like conditions they have to go through to register to vote. Like if you're white, they're just like, just sign here and here and you're good. Like
Yeah.
that one guy when Oprah Winfrey's character was registering, and he's like, how many of these are in this state? You're like, is that even a question you'll ask like a white person? And she comes prepared, and he's still like, rejected. You're like, fuck.
Denied. Yep, it's just an unfair game right here.
Yeah. I think the one scene that like really is rough to us watch is that first bridge crossing when they've tried to cross the first time and the police just like like assault them. I'm like, Jesus fuck. Like,
Yeah.
said this before, like you see images like this and then you see images on the news and you're like, why does this part of history have to repeat itself constantly? Don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was kind of information that people needed to see.
Yeah.
It's horrible to see, but people needed to see it. That's like when they started to cross the bridge, and they were going to, what was that place again?
Selma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're walking to Selma, and they just absolutely get decimated. But it's caught live, while a reporter is just like
Describing.
narrating everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, and it was a thing that kind of had to open up the eyes of like the American people all around. That like, sure, you're sitting at home and feel like there's nothing wrong with the world, but there's this thing that's happening here, and it was kind of nice to see. Horrible that it happened, but it's nice to see that. Once people found out that hey, there's an unjust in the world, they were willing to take a stand and just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll be part of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially when it's not just law enforcement, it's just like citizens all around just cheering on the beatings of like African Americans. And I'm just like, damn,
Right.
that's stuff to watch.
You also see like that hatred and bigotry have no, like there is no, like they spare no one. Like that priest, like James Reeb, who got beaten up just because he was supporting Dr. King's movement. Like he gets killed, and I'm like, fuck, Jesus Christ. Hatred spares no one, and that's how venomous it can be. Like, I do love King's speech at the end when he's like, white people are given the slide that no matter their lot in life, they can be assured that they're superior to people of different ethnicities, and that's the venomous lie that they've been given, and then they give to their children and grandchildren for generations and generations. And King is there to simply put a stop to that, and like it's not even remotely true.
Yeah, and sadly, that's when the movie ends, because later on you get to see like, oh, what happened to these people? Some were like, yeah, they ran for Congress. Some couldn't run for Congress anymore because they were racist.
Yeah. When I saw what happened to Tim Roth's character, I was like, ha, that's funny.
Paralyzed. I was like, yeah. All right, I feel like some Confederates might get my ass, but oh well.
Oh well.
Yeah, and like that poor lady.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't even know who she was,
Yeah.
but like 5 hours later, she got murdered because she was part of the movement, and I'm just like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's why. No, it just shows that sometimes there's just no mercy when it comes to like people like these.
Yeah. Not even Dr. King was spared his assassination like years later. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn. It just goes to show that you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. And hopefully, one day, his dream of people, like, of all ethnicities coming together and saying that they're free at last will come true. And like, we're not. I don't even know if we're 50% there yet, but we're getting there. Hopefully, someday. Even though the 2020s is quite crazy. Like, you open the newspaper here, you're like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to read anything anymore.
we got newspapers.
Yeah, you have. I have newspapers. You guys have social media. That's why I'm not on social media that much anymore. Because I'm like, I can't take this. I need a break sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But it is very important to be informed with what is happening around the world.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, but we ain't that much of a political channel,
Yeah.
and we'll keep it to what we know.
Yeah, yeah. Don't assume anything. Like, that's why we rarely do movies this heavy. Like, the last heavy movie we did was fucking probably Schindler's List years ago.
Yeah.
That's about
Yeah.
it. And maybe Black Clansman. Yeah, Black Clansman as well. But yeah, I think this movie is quite relevant today, especially today. Very much so today. But like, I just think the performances are great, and like the lessons and the hopes and dreams of that generation continue to fight for
Yeah.
what is basic human rights. But yeah, all that being said, what would you rate Selma?
We rate Selma an 8.5 out of 10. It is a good movie.
Yeah.
A very important movie.
Yeah,
I will say that they did jump from character to character a little too much, where I'm like, yeah, I get it. The focus wasn't on Martin Luther King all that much. It's on the movement itself. But yeah, I couldn't grasp onto a character
yeah,
that much because they wouldn't focus on one long enough. But other than that, the dialogue is great. The like the exchanges between like different characters, like even Martin Luther King versus like talking to the president of the United States. Like I'm on my edge of my seat, just like please, just like like do something, Mr. President.
right.
Yeah, but like yeah, and like getting into the nitty gritty of the politics when it came to the movement was very interesting in of itself. And yeah, and especially in our day and age, as Nina just said, very important movie. I feel like a lot of people should watch
Yeah.
because it's not just blacks versus whites kind of deal or like non-racist versus racist. It's just like, man, we just got to be better as people.
Yeah, not just for our generation, but the future generations. Like it's crazy to think that future generations will never grow up and not know what AI is. You know, we grew up
Yeah.
AI free, without all these craziness attached to it. Now, generations will be affected by decisions of this generation, and it kind of sucks that the cycles that haunt us might still haunt the future generation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Lordy. Just tough times. But we'll be okay, hopefully.
we'll see in a few years. Hopefully we are. I'll give this a 9 out of 10. Like, I give it an extra point because it's not afraid to show how, like how unsure Martin Luther King is with his position. He's like, am I really a worthy leader? Like, do I deserve this Nobel Peace Prize? Why did they pick me? Like this is such a ginormous fight. Like, it's too much for one man to bear, but like, if I have to light the torch that leads the way, I'm willing to do it. And like hopefully his dream just keeps on living as far as for every other generation that comes after us. I do know that in the future, I believe Chris Rock is directing a Martin Luther King movie
That's it.
with the backing of Steven Spielberg. because
Yeah.
I believe Steven Spielberg bought the rights to all of Martin Luther King's speeches to make a movie, and now he's working with Chris Rock. And like, rumor is that Chris Rock might be Martin Luther King in that movie. I'm like, that'd be fucking sick to see Chris
That'd be
Rock
sick.
be Martin Luther
Yeah.
King.
Yeah, but I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like they should let a new, younger
Actor take it.
actor take the role. 'Cause, come on, like Chris Rock's in his like nearing 60s.
Yeah.
I say give it to somebody who's kind of like same around the same age as Martin Luther King, where he's like late 30s.
Yeah, yeah. Like, this is the first biopic of Martin Luther King ever, and I'm like, why did it take so long to make one? Like, I believe I also saw a small HBO movie with Anthony Mackie as Martin Luther King and
Oh,
Bryan Cranston as LBJ, Lyndon Johnson. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
alright.
Well, yeah, to our audience watching, how do I phrase this? Big historical figure that deserves a biopic hasn't gotten a biopic, and we would like to see them get a biopic. I already have my question answered. It's Kazon. It's coming out this year.
Yeah. Excited for that one. Hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
Damn. As a history buff, I'm drawing blank. Not gonna lie. You know what? I'm gonna be a bit fun because we've been a little bit down on the dumps with this review.
Yeah.
I would say I want a Lapu-Lapu movie, but in the style of 300.
Yeah, they did come up with one last year. I think it was Danny Trejo as Magellan. I don't know if it was any good. You know what? I'll add a controversial one just to add some flavor. I'm surprised no one made the movie about Lenin yet, or the Soviet leaders.
Why not?
Why not?
You know?
Anyway, before
Let's see how Stalin went at it.
before we mention any other controversial figures, if you want to see more of us here, please leave a like, subscribe, and bang the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest videos. Spotify to hear us on the go. Individually, I am Zoda's voices on Spotify, TikTok, and Swolf on Letterboxd. Sorry, I'm getting my social medias confused with my music stuff.
Sorry.
But yeah, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me at JohnDuM_ on Instagram. It is my account.
And until the next one, we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.